Welcome. This is another episode of My Favorite Mortgage Podcast. I'm Jaimie Booth, a licensed loan officer here in the nice cold state of Arizona. We are recording a new podcast, but we have a returning guest. We had so much to say on the last one that we just are going to keep it going. Mike Kingma.
Right on. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite realtor, Mike Kingma. Back at it again, baby.
Yes. Licensed realtor here in Southern Arizona, / co-host, and this is our podcast at this point. Record number of episodes.
Yeah.
I think we're at like maybe 12.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Well, I say it's cold because of the cold storms we've been experiencing here in the first week of March. But you are a transplant, so you're used to this.
Oh, yes. Even after, 8 years of living here from the Pacific Northwest, the North always remembers. It always does.
The North remembers.
The North remembers.
Winter is coming. Well, let's start it off with, before we get into the episode, I've got just a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually not a question.
All right.
I'm so messing this one up.
Oh, you're good.
Well, because I actually really finally cut ties with a friend that was dragging me down. You know, just mountain climbing can be really hard. I always double check to make sure I made Joe laugh, because then I know it's a good one.
There you go.
All right. Well, because someone keeps calling me, and all they do is sneeze, and then they hang up. I really hate those cold calls.
It just flew by.
There you go. See, you can come up with something just like that.
It's like someone's got to deliver it, and I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm going to just add a little more cherries to that. Absolutely. Yep. I'm going to do it.
I don't know about you, but I swear everyone I know had some sort of cold in the last month or so.
Oh,
yeah. I felt like I would get it, and then my husband would get it, and then I would get it again. And it was just a stupid head cold.
Yeah.
No fever, no but the coughing and the sneezing. Did your family, did your household catch that?
So there would be times where, my wife would get sick for like maybe 2 or 3 days, and then she'll be fine. And then I would end up getting it for like a day or two. And then, just last week we were in Phoenix for the Savannah Bananas that came to town. And at that point, our nephews that we took with us, they came down with just the nastiest little things. And I'm like, well, we're in for it. We're here for it. But, we still had a blast, had a great time, but then came back with the ick. But that's just how it goes. The ick. That's exactly what it was. It was just head was just pounding, just nasal, just like kind of sounded nasally a little bit, just kind of like that whole thing. But honestly, after a few days, I was totally fine.
Did you guys at your house catch it? Yeah. I felt like all of America has some sort of cold right now.
Something like that. So.
Well, thanks again to Mike Kingma for coming on. Wanted to just chat about, we shared a really cool experience with a first-time home buyer, but what else are you seeing in the housing market with boots on the ground here in Southern Arizona?
Ooh, I love this conversation. I love talking to people about this. So boots on the ground, I'm starting to see more listings pop up, which is a good sign, because we've been at this moment where we've had so much inventory locked up during the pandemic and all the way through, and here we are 5 years later from that pandemic.
Yeah. Half a decade, and we're now seeing what I like to call the buyer's market. We are finally in a buyer's market right now. So when I did my research this morning, there were a total of 6,400 homes available all across the MLS of Southern Arizona. That covers Tucson, Marana, Oro Valley, Sarita, Green Valley. That covers everything. Yeah.
Out of the 6,400 listings that are available, we're only seeing 1,400 under contract. So if you think about it, that means, you take 6,400, subtract the 1,400. At that point, you're looking at a 5-to-1
ratio, which means buyers, for every one buyer, there's 5 houses for them to look at.
They have options again.
They have options. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah. They did not have options 5 years ago.
No. But we are still seeing, in some ways, where we are seeing some sellers that are aspirational into the 2022 times, where they think that they're going to get all the money in the world, but the comps don't support it. So what we're starting to see is it's still, in a way, a tale of two markets, and I think a lot of it has to do with what's on TV. We're talking, they're saying, oh, mortgage rates are terrible, they're terrible, they're terrible. But really, I mean, if you guys have been watching my videos, I tell you, it's like, look, this is the national average. But it could be completely different. So you want to work with a loan officer that's local, that understands the local market, and you want to work with a realtor that knows that local market. So we're starting to see things move. We're full swing into spring, and it's tax return time.
Yes.
Tax returns are coming. Yes.
And the beautiful part about a tax return is you can use that as your down payment.
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%.
You had a pretty good tax return, you said.
Yes. So
why is that?
Ooh, here comes the controversy. Okay. So how it all
gives us views. Just go for it.
We're here for the juice. Wait, the tea. Excuse me. Where's the tea? Pinky's out. All right. So what we've got going on is, so my tax return for my wife and I this year was substantially greater than what it was last year, or since the previous times that we've had our old home into our new home. Full disclosure, I have a 7% interest rate on my home. Prior to that, we had a 2.75% interest rate.
Gotcha.
So when we look at that from a married filing jointly kind of situation that's with it, every time we were basically getting the standard deduction.
Because the interest was just so low that you couldn't write it off.
Yes, you couldn't write it off.
Gotcha.
So the other reason is that, and this was more of a business decision, not just for myself, but for us as a family, saying if we wanted to move up, this is now the new norm.
Right. Thank you.
And so at that point, we sold the house that had a 2.75, bought a 7% interest rate. But now buyers that work with me, they see that I'm in the market with them. Okay, there's a big difference between working with a realtor.
It gives you credibility.
Yes.
Yes.
It gives you credibility of knowing that when you're working with a realtor that has that high interest rate, it's not as scary as you think. It really isn't. Because we're playing the IRS game, is what we're doing.
Okay.
Full disclosure, and I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for it. Interest on my 2.75% interest rate in 1 year was only $10,000.
Okay.
There's nothing you can do with that because the standard deduction supersedes the itemized. Here we are, 2024. I paid $42,000 in interest. But the standard deduction for married filing jointly is $29,100 as of the 2024 tax returns.
Nice.
So if you think about that, look how big that spread was.
Let me do the math. Okay. 42 minus 29. $13,000.
$13,000 in difference. That's with it. So now this means that you can now also write off the property taxes that you've paid.
Right.
Now
you're going to itemize and you're going to
So this is what happens when you get to a certain threshold. This gives you that golden opportunity to be able to get into the market with a high interest rate because at this point, you're falling in love with the house, but you're also playing the IRS game. That's what you're playing, the tax game. Another disclosure, make sure to talk to a CPA and a tax professional before you do anything. This is
not legal tax advice.
Correct.
This is situational in his experience.
Yes.
There, done.
And the other big reason that we got money back as well was we installed solar panels and a Tesla Powerwall.
All right. Well, you own a Tesla, so I could see the Tesla Powerwall.
Yes.
Solars, that's hit and miss.
Yes.
Not a fan.
It's a hit and miss. I mean,
did you do a solar lease or solar loan?
Solar loan, because for us, this was our forever home.
Okay.
So when we bought the house, we bought the house with the intent that we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to stay here no matter what. It's plenty of size for us. The location's great, and we're able to get easy access to the freeway. No
Love
problem.
it.
No
Love
issues. And we are totally happy.
Did you go into a new build?
I did.
So you guys got to design it too. That's a little special.
Surprisingly, we didn't.
No?
No.
You got a spec home.
So this was an unfortunate situation that was with it. A gentleman had actually designed the house himself.
Okay.
Had it under contract during October, November of 2022. And if you were paying attention to the stock market at that point, it was basically the bloody winter. A lot of jobs got slashed. Stocks were tumbling like it was nobody's business. And people thought we were all going to be in a recession. And so the stock market sold off.
Yeah.
And this poor guy, I felt for him that was with it because he had the house, it was approved, he did all the design,
Right.
and then he got laid off.
Oh.
And he couldn't afford the property anymore. So
That's
at that
a
point,
shame.
it was one of those things where it's unfortunate, but for us, we were able to walk in without having to pay for the lot premium because it was in a cul-de-sac. And the lot itself was under a quarter acre.
And you didn't have to worry about waiting all that time
No.
either to have it built from the ground up.
And it was still in frame at that point. So a lot of the options and features were already picked, and we looked at it and we said, yeah, we're not going to change a thing because this guy already paid for it.
Yeah, good taste.
He had great taste. There were a few things that we were able to negotiate, like the epoxy flooring. We swapped out all the appliances from Whirlpool to KitchenAid, including the refrigerator. Had them throw in blinds. And, crazy enough, they were giving us a pool credit of $45,000 through a pool company to build a pool. That was our non-negotiable, was to build a pool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We
but it
both
was
went
awesome.
through the pool building. I just finished ours in January. Haven't been able to use it. But
All in due time. All in due time.
I'm so looking forward to just propping my laptop up and just being in the pool all summer.
Umbrella.
Yep. I did get the umbrella.
Yep. We had to
holes.
as well. Yep.
Yep.
So we just have our little
have
Adirondacks
two.
and then just type away.
That's
Oh, no.
exactly what I'm
no.
going to get is the Adirondacks. Oh, well, congratulations on the tax return.
Thank you.
Another, hidden secret about a higher interest rate is the fact that you can then possibly itemize
Yeah.
and, get some of that interest back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the 1098 is kind of like a tough pill to swallow when you're looking at $42,000 in interest, but then you're like, cha-ching.
Yeah. It's just we're paying to play.
Yeah.
You gotta go in all in. It is what it is.
Well, you touched on something because back then when you were buying, there was a big layoff round.
Yes.
And we're experiencing something that we have never really experienced before in the terms of federal employees being laid off. And there was this, this was a job cut announcement that totaled 172.17 in February of job cuts. It was a 103% increase from year over year and the most job cuts in federal employees since July of 2020 when
Wow.
COVID was just blowing up.
Wow.
So, and that was released on Thursday from a firm called Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. It marks the highest number reported since February of 2009.
Wow.
So that R word that you said, recession, could actually be on the horizon.
It could. And now I feel I'm very empathetic to people when it comes to their jobs. The last thing that anybody wants to go through is a job loss.
So emotional.
It's emotional.
It's just heartbreaking. Like, you feel like you do a great job and you get the pink slip.
It's the worst.
Awful.
It's the worst. And, the thing is that looking at it from the outside of seeing all these jobs just being trimmed away, I had to think, there's got to be some place that you can find out if your employer is going to be laying off, because they can't just cut you off at the knees right then and there.
Right, these kind of get announced.
Yeah.
Right? We
yeah.
didn't know the exact numbers, but we were anticipating it. And then and this is just an announcement of the 172.
Yeah.
I don't believe that that's actually been the number that is finalized. But
yeah.
what is the law called when a company
yes.
of how many? 50 or more.
It's usually 50 or more. In some jurisdictions, it is 100 or more. But it's something is known as the WARN Act, W-A-R-N Act. And it was established in 1988 to basically let employees know that their jobs are going to be either relocated or terminated, or if it's based on probational hires and things like that. They have to provide notice to let you know that layoffs are impending. And there are websites out there where you can track it by state, you can track it by company, you can track it by, where headquarters is and by the amount. And I actually had found out about this through a friend of mine who was going through layoffs at Boeing right now. So Boeing,
so if you were to go and look at one of these websites under the WARN Act, it would have Boeing listed with announced potential layoffs.
Yep, and you can choose based off of year.
So anyone working at a company of anywhere from 50 to 100 or more, sometimes they say, well, this came out of nowhere, but legally, that company needed to announce it.
Yes, and sometimes they'll actually go to media outlets to say, hey, we are planning on laying off people.
So that it kind of saves them from maybe potential lawsuits.
Who knows? But, up to, a labor attorney at that point, or basically someone who's got, a background in that can basically start looking at that for wrongful termination or whatever the case may be that's with it. So, that's just at least one tool in your arsenal where if you do see that your company is going to be laying off.
Or maybe reportings, companies have to report their earnings. Maybe you're getting a gut feeling at work.
Yeah.
People are maybe higher management's acting weird. Go and look up your company under the WARN Act.
Yeah, and sometimes even look at it as, I like to look at it by state. So like for Arizona, just to see if there's anything big that's coming up, because there's a lot of companies here in Arizona and mainly in Phoenix that have like call centers that are set up where if they're going to announce layoffs, they're probably cutting off that call center. So however many people are in that place, they're going to be relocating them, or they're just going to say, nope, we're not going to do it. We're done.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, and I don't wish anything like that on anybody.
Right.
But given the current state of the market, this, and I'm just going to put it loosely, is without job losses and unemployment increasing, interest rates would probably still be way up there.
They would.
There's really only two ways for the 10-year or just rates to come down anyways, is a recession, which is by textbook. Definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. So if the country's not doing good for 2 quarters in a row, that is by definition
a recession.
A recession.
They just won't say it though.
Because
nobody wants to say that.
No.
That the R word.
Yes, the dreaded R word. Nobody wants to say it. But as of right now, for Q1,
we've touched on it. Like in the last 3 years, we've technically have had more than one quarter.
Yeah, we have.
But then you put the sprinkles on, and you have a high unemployment or unemployment claims rising. It's going to give us the lower interest rates. But what if you don't have a job to even care what the interest rates are at?
Right. Yeah. And that's the big thing, because as of right now, for Q1 of 2025, they're projected that Q1 of 2025 is negative 2.8
for the GDP.
For GDP. Now the quarter doesn't end until basically the end of this month.
Right.
So they won't report it until April.
Well, I agree with you. I don't wish that on anyone. It's a little scary out there. We did get a jobs report today, and we've seen some pretty good movement for the mortgage interest rates. So if you did buy, right, 22, 23, even last year we all thought interest rates were going to come down. I saw 8% interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now's the time to actually get your mortgage reviewed for a refinance.
Yes.
And guys, you can reach out to me. It takes me 5-10 minutes to actually just do a mortgage review and to see how much we can save. I don't have to do a hard credit report or anything like that. You know, it's just kind of an idea.
Yeah.
So reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. And, you know, if you are looking to maybe the house that you were kind of felt pressured to buy in and you have that 2.75, use Mike's experience that you're not tied to that. You know, it's not the golden cuff. And you may want to get into something while we can get the seller to pay concessions, while it hasn't really trickled on that the interest rates have come down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could, you know, get something bigger.
Yeah.
Get something better.
Yeah. Anything you can do.
You're not tied to that.
And the nice thing is, too, and this is something that a lot of folks don't really kind of take into consideration, is with, you know, say you've had your house for 5 years. So we'll use us as an example, or my wife and I. So, I mean, yeah, we bought it at 2017 prices. I know you can flame me all day, had $217,000 for a 2,000 square foot house. You know, in today's market, it was $425,000. We put in $160,000 into the house. So after everything is all said and done, and all the money that we had made from the sale of our home, even after making repairs,
tons of equity,
there. And guess what? It's tax free.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you are single, and you purchased a home and you're selling it, as long as you owned it for 2 of the last 5 years of your ownership, that was used as a primary residence, that
there you go.
You can get up to $250,000 tax free in capital gains.
Yep.
There's no tax that's on it. Married filing jointly is double that. $500,000.
Yep.
Yes, $500,000 that you can get tax free.
Yeah. My daughter and I sold her little townhouse last year.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we bought in 21, sold in 24. It was exactly 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked away with, what did she get, like 87, 89?
Oh, that's huge. That's huge.
It's tax-free.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming back on.
Always.
Always just great conversations with you. And I appreciate the intrigue. I appreciate the knowledge. If anyone's listening that has any questions, I know we talked about some complicated stuff, but please feel free to reach out to Mike or I. We're going to provide his information down below. Fantastic realtor that can sell your house, top dollar, get you all that equity to get into a new house. I'm Jaimie Booth, licensed loan officer. I'm here to help make the mortgage process as easy as it possibly can be. But let me finish by asking you, Mike, what is one reason someone should use you as a realtor?
Ooh. Experience.
Good job. All
Experience.
Right. For me, I can read Lady Gaga's poker face.
That's good. That's good. I love it.
So thanks again for listening, guys. This is My Favorite Mortgage Podcast with Jaimie Booth. Please like this video, follow us on all major platforms, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share this with anyone who needs to, just chat with us, get some knowledge on the housing market. We get asked a lot of how's the market doing. Just reach out. We'll give you a candid experience. So like, share, follow, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.